before we get in this episode, can you do us a favor? Will you go ahead and subscribe to the channel?
Will you ring that notification bell?
And if you would, give this video a like. Well, enough of that mumbo jumbo. Let's get to the episode.
Let's talk developmentally speaking, glow up, and connecting through wrestling.
Hey everybody, I'm Morty.
And I'm Brian.
And on today's episode of Connecting Through Wrestling, we have Danny Dealz. Danny, how's it going?
I'm here at the Dealz house, hanging out with the crew, rolling deep, hanging out with you guys, Brian and Morty. I feel like you guys are on delay because you were like, I'm Morty. You were like, and I'm Brian. But you gotta have that delay because you don't know if you're gonna have like if you're gonna have like a wardrobe malfunction. You
That's
gotta
true.
Right. It's a 10-second delay. I guess I don't need a delay. I guess if I have wardrobe malfunction, people will automatically avert their eyes. So, first question, and I'm sure you've heard this question many times, and we ask everybody this question: what made you get into wrestling?
Well, that would be hard to encapsulate here. That's a long story. Maybe we have a couple hours, but it's a long time. I lived a whole nother life before I was in the business. So it's, but I can shorten it. I left Cleveland, Ohio, and moved to Tennessee. I was actually going to come to Nashville first, where I am right now, and I ended up in Knoxville first because I looked up some things, but I saw Fuji at a school, and I was 30 and I was in great shape. But, at that time, I go, well, it's going to take me, because I'd played music and stuff before too. So like, right. You're never good at anything right away. So I was like, yeah, probably take like 5 or 6 years to be any good. By that time, WWE's not going to look at me because I'm too close to 40. TNA, whatever. But I always loved mouthpieces too. I had favorite everything when I was younger, wrestlers, managers, whoever.
Yes.
So, and Fuji had a school in Knoxville. I didn't know he closed it, or maybe it was in Dandridge, but it's right there. It had the same area code. So I moved there and I called it, rang, never answered. And I eventually found a place to train, but a couple of the guys there, Shane Andrews and people like that, they had trained there and they're like, oh yeah, it's closed. I was like, yeah, no shit. So, because I got trained in the ring because I think everybody should for multiple reasons, but I wanted to manage. But I was ripped at the time too, so it was like I would go to shows. People are like, "Who are you working?" I'm like, "I'm managing him." They go, "Oh," but like I thought everybody would be jacked, when I got in it, but they weren't. But that was like nearly 20 years ago, so that was the dark ages of the independents. That's when nobody saw anything you did. There was no streaming, or you know what I mean. So it was like. I can remember for years, were like me and Sean Schultz and Travis Sawyer and later Plunkett and Crimson before he was Crimson and all kinds of guys. I'm going to leave a bunch out, not on purpose. But like we would travel and you could do shows, like you could work like 5 or 6 days a week, but like nobody knew it was happening. You were barely making any money. You'd make money on the weekends, but you really had to make money at the gimmick table. Right. And especially as a manager too, sometimes people didn't want to pay you, but then I would get some money because I drove. I would drive everybody because I had an SUV at the time, and I don't care to drive long distances, which helped later when the first job I had at TNA that helped that I didn't care to drive, but like, but because I had been trained, like if you want to be in every kind of match ever, you get trained, become a manager, and get heat, and you'll be in everything. And so there'd be all these shows that we would do all the time, and then I would end up in angles where I had to be in the match, or whether it was 5 minutes alone or in a tag match or whatever the hell. And see, I edited myself right there. And then they would have to give you more. You know what I mean? Because you were you were bumping or whatever. Not that anybody was making a whole lot of anything, but it was. I did, because you figure like like Mike Porter ran the fairgrounds in Nashville every Tuesday, and like. There was, there was a Wednesday in Evansville, Indiana, as I'm sure you know. Like there was a Wednesday in Elkhorn, Alabama. There was a Wednesday in Sevierville. There was a, Thursday here, a Thursday there. There was a Thursday in Knoxville. And, Friday, Saturday, whatever. And then like Sundays, you could go to Rampage in Warner Robins or whatever. Like you work all the time, but it was like all those weekday shows. But you were getting reps in. And then and in music, like I played live and I recorded, but like I never got to tour like Black Flag did, where they would do 90 shows in 85 days. But like vicariously through indie wrestling, I did get to do stuff like that. And even crazy, just goofy loops were like me and Schultz and Rudy Charles went on some crazy trip up to the Dakotas. Like we talked our way on a show in Minnesota, and then at a bar, it was really wacky. And then we had we were in North Dakota for 2 weeks, and we had like 10 shows there, where the money was pretty good because they were all bought shows, and then we talked our way onto a show in Wisconsin on the way back, and then came back. And
That's awesome.
But stuff like that, and sometimes it is, and then other times you go, what the hell are we doing? You know what I mean? I just remember like when Crimson broke into business, he looked like that already. You know what I mean? And like we were doing like a fair show in Kentucky, people were throwing mud at us and shit, and he's like, "What are we doing?" And I was like, "Don't worry, dude, you ain't gonna be down here for real." You know what I mean? Like, somebody's got to see 8x10 and you'd be all right. Because that was like 09, and that's what everybody was looking for.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, so just kind of I'm just a carny. I mean, I can remember working shows for Bert in like Cary Mills, Illinois. There was like no stoplight town. Like you were in a bad guy car and there's a good guy car, like in a parade, and like people think it's a shoot. Like you got talking carny for real. Like
wow.
has everybody's bags in the car. I got a train behind me, but like. I remember Plunkett and I were like, one night we're out there and it's wild and there's no security and people like right up on the ring. And I said to the guy who was booking for Bert at the time, I said, "Hey," I said, "who's Sean working tomorrow?" He goes, "Me." I said, "It's a handicap and I'm in it because I'm not standing out there again. Those people, it's dangerous. It's hazardous to my health." And then we're out there with Plunkett too. And me and Plunkett have to fight our way through the crowd, like not punch, but like this kind of, because we thought Sean got stuck out there. You know what I mean? We thought he was going to die. And Sean would tell you, he's beach muscle. And then we said, screw it. We went back into the locker room, which is a coffee house. And he was in there. Like, what are you guys doing? We're all like, you son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Like all that crazy stuff that like nobody ever knows happens. And like when you retell it, it almost sounds like it's, bullshit. But that kind of stuff, it's fun. It's funny now. But I know everybody doesn't get to experience that stuff. That was kind of the end of the the 2000s and into the early 2010s was kind of the end of the weekly shows and the weekdays and the work in those small towns where people thought it was legit and all that kind of stuff. But it was fun. But so I got into it. It was something I needed to do, and then here I am. But I mean, I watched it as a kid, but I wasn't like crazy. It was just another thing that I liked. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like the Steelers. I like wrestling. I like NBA at the time or whatever. So, but when I was a kid, not to date myself, but it was kind of still territorial. So you would get like WWF on USA, and then you would get George Championship on TBS, and then every here and there you would see like stuff syndicated. And then my junior high years were in Naperville, which is 30 minutes like north of Chicago. It's like a suburb. It was like AWA and World Class and all that. It was on TV all the time. So I saw a little bit of everything.
Did you say you were a Steelers fan?
Yeah.
That lived in Cleveland?
Yeah, it's an hour and a half away.
Oh, that makes sense. I just don't.
Well, they're both blue-collar Rust Belt towns. The slang's a little different. Pittsburgh's on hills, Cleveland's flat. Cleveland, you can buy beer at a gas station like a free man. Pittsburgh, you got to go to a beer distributor. But I think you can buy it at a Giant Eagle now. But, you can get a Permani. You go to Cleveland, there's a place called Panisse. It's the same sandwich. So but they're more similar than they know. But, when I was a kid, I loved Jack Lambert and Joe Green and all that. And, like, I didn't really have an idea that this is where I live and I must like this. And if somebody would have said that to me, that probably helped too, because I was always kind of a opposite direction.
Yeah, I haven't got much to say on
like you have to do this. I don't have to do shit. Stay Italian and die. You know what I mean? Like that's just, I've always been that way. So, but I wasn't the only kid. Like there were other kids at school. Like teams are on TV a lot. They'd have like Raiders jackets or Cowboys. Like I wasn't the only one. The one that we thought was weird was the kid with the Bengals jacket. Remember, there was like one kid with a Bengals jacket. We were like, huh? You know what I mean? 'Cause, Cincinnati, it's like North Kentucky. I mean, it might as well be, they're nothing. Like Cleveland's not like the rest of Ohio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like how Detroit isn't like the rest of Michigan, or like, even like when I was working for TNA Live Event Crew, we'd go all over the place, and like you'd go do something at Manhattan Center, and then you go do something like Albany or Poughkeepsie or something, like it doesn't feel like the city, but you know you're in New York. But if you go to Buffalo, it feels different, right? It almost doesn't feel like, because it's, you know, it's on Lake Erie. It's just a different. So you know what I mean. We just thought the Cincinnati kid was weird, you know.
Right.
Even though their team's really good now, but we just thought the kid was weird.
It's funny because I was raised a Steelers fan in Southern Indiana,
Uh-huh.
and my wife and her family are Bengals fans. So
That's fun.
well, I've made a deal that I will cheer for the Bengals as long as they're not facing the Steelers.
Okay.
So it works out. But yeah, I have no room to talk. From Southern Indiana, everybody here is either a Colts or a Bengals fan, and I was all like Steelers.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well, I bet that night at home was fun when they blew out Carson Palmer's knee, huh? Because I'm sure they thought that was their Super Bowl year. 05. Yeah. You guys ain't that young. You remember that, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, Brian, go ahead.
How did your deal with NWA come about? Or what steps did you take to get to the NWA?
I gotta remember now. It's very vague. Well, I worked with Billy when he was at TNA, because remember he was the president for a little bit, right? And I was kind of a utility player there. You know, I did merchandise in Nashville. You know, in Orlando and TV, I'd be a PA. But like, I remember he came out to when I was helping, because remember all the Broken stuff with Matt. That was like JB, Jimmy, Ben, and me, and that was it. And like Billy came out there when we did like the Leader Decay, so I just got to know him better, you know, over time. But not like we're, you know, homies or anything. We don't trade Christmas cards. But when they started doing that stuff, so what was I know I worked NWA 70, because it was one of those kind of things, you know what I mean? It was like, hey, we're going to use him for this. And they go, oh, yeah, we know him. Yes, you know. So I know, you know, 70, we did the pop-up. You know, because I worked for TNA, and that ended in 19, and that was about the early 19. That was about the time, or no, they started right before that, right? 70 was in 18, and then just one of those things in wrestling, you know, how everybody, you know what I mean, just connects and like, hey, we can use him for this, or hey, I'm free. Oh yeah, you know, whatever. I can't remember, but I didn't work like the Crockett Cup or nothing like that. But then I came in and started working the Power Season 2. Is when I started that. From that point on, I was like stage managing, doing different stuff. And the Dealz machine was a creation of Josephus, who I'd known since he started in the business, because he broke in Nashville. And I remember meeting him when he was riding with Wolfie D. And we did infomercials and stuff like that. And then somehow I decided to come and mess with Tim Storm and dress up like his mother. And, that pissed him off. I think Shoot pissed him off too. And brought in Jax, you know, Zabada, whatever, you know. And then there was the pandemic, and then we came back, and I was with Sal, who I've known for, you know, 10, 12 years, however long it is. I don't even think they knew that. They're just like, oh, we're going to put them together. I was like, yeah, sweet. You know, then he drank the blood. I told him not to, just like Indy in Temple of Doom. I said, don't drink blood, Dr. Jones. He drank the blood when old Count Chocula gave it to him. Then he went batshit. And then I ended up hanging with, Plunkett and Alex. And I've known Plunkett for however, you know, over a decade. And I've known Alex almost the whole time he's been in the business. And we kicked out Yuma. We released him. We just cut him outright. We couldn't trade him because we couldn't get anything for him.
Oh,
and then, same
Yuma.
thing with Rush Freeman. He was a goof. I had to get him out of there.
Poor Yuma.
And then we ended up feuding with the Miserably Faithful, old Count Chocula's crew, you know, for a little bit there. Frankenberry and Yummy Mummy and the whole cranks. And they tried to kill us in St. Louis. I don't know if you saw the pay-per-view. They tried to kill us.
They straight up tried to kill you, yeah.
Yeah, brother tried to stab Plunkett with the spike. Sal tried to break Alex's back. And then Frankenberry, you know, I think I was about 17 feet on that choke slam, you know, and I can tell you, and you guys take bumps and stuff before you know that when you have time to think about it, you know it's going to hurt. That's how high up we were. Because I looked at the ceiling and then I went, oh shit. You know what I mean? Because it's not, you know what I mean? It's not like a snap, nothing. I was like, oh no.
Oh no. Got time to think
So,
about this.
yeah. Well, I was told later by some people who were near the ring that they heard me. So apparently I uttered something very loud. It was awful. And we haven't forgotten it. So if we run into those pricks again, it's over. And actually, we just jumped the gimp, actually. There's a video on the intranet out there.
Oh, yeah?
I bribed him out with some gummy bears, and then Alex jumped him and kicked the shit out of him. He's a weird little dude.
Was he in a
zipper?
Was he in a full-size chest like in Pulp Fiction? Did he come out of a chest?
He did not, but he was hiding behind this big-ass mask they had the pre-tape room from May Valentine. They had some big mask in there. Because, you know, everything in New Orleans has to be, by the way, I hate New Orleans. Yeah. And, you know, everything there has to be like, oh, you know, it's Mardi Gras, get some gumbo or whatever the hell. You know what I mean? And so they had this big, weird-looking party mask, and he was hiding behind that thing. I never liked it. I like some people from there. I love Terrence Terrell, you know. And you know, but, like, I don't, you know, I don't like the city. I never have.
Yeah, I've heard good and I've heard bad about it, for sure.
Well, I mean, they shot Victor Crowley there. Once you get away from that, it's over.
Mm-hmm. So, I do want to mention that the Ill Begotten, now that we have you, is the first official full team that we've interviewed.
Hey, look at that! That's got some kind of record. I think I'm gonna put that in my Twitter bio.
Yeah.
We're the first full team.
Yeah, first full team interviewed by Connected.
That's
Connected
right. This shirt is still on sale for a limited time on the website. It's almost gone. So.
Oh man, get it while you can.
Kind of ripped the Sex Pistol design. I know that the other guys are too young for that, but I love the Sex Pistols. So that's basically what it is.
So what other than eventually getting retribution against you know, Sal and all of them, what are your plans for the future?
Well, we gotta get some tag straps. You know what I mean? Whether that's U.S. belts from the, you know, the Fair Fixers and all that, you know, or I'd rather have the world belts. You know, the Werewolves got them right now.
Right.
Mecca and Bestia, and people are always like, "Who's gonna beat them?" I'm just like, "Watch Hammer Horror. Like they're werewolves. Like this, you know, Silver and all that." And you know, if Poppy gets in my way, I'm gonna kick his ass. I don't care about any of that mist stuff he's got going on. So, you know,
just wear those glasses and you don't have to worry about it.
I'm telling you what, man. I'm saying, well, I got a different pair somewhere. They got like these. Mercurio gave them to me. They're like these giant looking like Mega Force goggles or something. I got them somewhere. I think they're in the bag. I don't know. But Josh doesn't have them. He has my old pair here. But you know, it's and Maddie didn't take them, but he did steal my toque over here. So
yeah,
which is also on sale, you know, on the website. People are emailing me. I don't care. That's
oh, is that what that means? I just thought.
Yeah.
I just thought you wanted to see my face a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
I do want to see your face. Don't think I won't screenshot this when it airs, and I'll make it like my wallpaper on my phone or something.
Fabulous. It sounds great. Sounds great. I mean, after we get done recording, I'll post for you. Anyway. So, if you were to, I'm a big fan of the Fixers. I'll let you know that right now. What would, without giving away too much of your plan as a manager of a team, what would your advice be to your team for beating someone for a team like the Fixers? Because they're huge.
They are huge, but I bet you if I made a deal with the buffet down the street and let them have all they can eat, they'll get too full and they'll be slow in the ring. You know?
That's a good idea.
You know? I mean, I'm telling you, old Legursky, he is not afraid of a large pizza.
Right. I hear they really like cereal, so maybe you could like.
They do, but I feel like that's not filling enough.
No.
Oh,
you know, it's gotta be stuff with bread.
Okay.
You know? I could sit here and eat 3 boxes of cereal. You know.
Wow, that's a lot of cereal.
That is a lot of cereal, but you know what I mean. I feel like it's not filling enough. You gotta get some bread. Maybe it'll slow them down. I don't know. Maybe we'll trick them in the match. We'll make them solve math problems or something. Or
that might be rough for him. I mean, you probably get Jay to try, but I don't know if he if he brings his calculator to matches.
Well, that's how we could try to confuse Jay, because I don't. Legursky just back. He won't know. So we got to stay out of the way of him.
Right.
He's not the cerebral one of the team. It's Bradley. What does that tell you?
Okay.
But we ain't got no heat with that. I mean, I'd rather have the world belts, but we'll take either one. It doesn't matter. But we got to deal with the miserably faithful first.
Yeah.
And the spectaculars if they get in the way, but they still got their head up Cardona's ass, even though he took care of Rolando the other night on Power.
Yeah, I saw that. I was kind of hoping that Rolando could kind of pull it off, but it happens.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Nope, it was midnight for Cinderella, buddy. It had to happen.
So
go ahead, Brian.
Like Morty had said, he's a big fan of the NWA. He feels like it's professional wrestling in the sports entertainment world. How do you feel about, obviously, the NWA and how it stands out from the rest?
Well, it's different flavors of ice cream, right? So, I feel like it's a different flavor than all the other stuff. Everything has its own. I don't know if you want to say style, but everything has its own taste, and you can't do what everybody else is doing. You just got to be, you have to be different, and you have to be you, no matter what everybody else is doing, So, I think it's kind of a circus if you pay attention to the show, which you guys watch. I mean, I think it's kind of a circus. There's a little bit of everything, There's flipping dudes, and there's some brawling, and there's some comedic elements, and there's some, wonderful cover boys like me and Alex and Plunkett. We're there for the female demographic, and
obviously
we've got werewolves that have the tag titles. We got people like Camille that's probably never going to lose. I feel like she eats nails for breakfast. So you got all kinds of stuff. You got a lot of talkers. There's a lot of managers, which you don't get everywhere else. A lot of tag teams. A lot of so it's just different. It's different. You got to be a little different than what everybody else is doing. So
it's definitely one of the reasons why I like the NWA is because of managers. I mean, being a wrestling manager, that's I've done that for my entire wrestling career. I've been a manager, and I feel like it's a lost art, and it's something that you don't see as often as you should. So when I see a good manager like you, or the Sinister Minister, or someone like that, I know, I realize.
Just said Pollo Del Mar or something.
Yeah, Pollo as well, for sure.
Yeah, there you go.
For sure.
Or Aaron Stevens, who is joined the fraternity of managers.
Yes, which is awesome because he's got the mouth for it, and he's got the brain for it. And so I appreciate that. I seeing in the other companies, you see Paul Heyman, and you'll see all the managers that they have are either ex wrestlers or already established. You don't see any managers come up from the bottom anymore.
Not as much. No, maybe here or there, but But isn't it Prince Nana back on television? He was really good, and I feel like he's back on TV.
I think he is back on TV. Yeah,
somewhere. Yeah, in All Elite or something, right? I feel like I saw something the other day with them, but yeah, you're right. No, there's not as many.
Right.
Even when I'd done some darks for Ring of Honor years ago, the guy that I dealt with was Sweeney, and I thought he was a genius. He would have been a gajillionaire today if he was here. Right. But that's who I dealt with there. But Nana was there at the time. That's the 6 degrees Kevin Bacon that connected that. But I remember, yeah, you know what I mean. Sometimes you just have to have, some places, they want this person for this spot right here, and it's not always kind of Wild Westy, where, you know what I mean. You just got people coming from all over the place. So it's a little different, but it is a lost art to a degree. I mean, it all but vanished in the 90s, in the late 90s for sure. I mean, we got a bunch of classics in the NWA, so I understand that's probably what draws you to watching it, being one of the managerial fraternity yourself,
right
up there in Indiana.
Yes. Yep.
Southern
Um,
Indiana, is that what you said?
yeah. Supreme Wrestling, based out of Madison.
Didn't
Um,
that used to be AWA Supreme?
it was and then it was also NWA Supreme. Yes.
Right, it was both. But yeah,
Yes.
I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yep. That's the
That's what's that dude's name?
Eric Draven.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's his show, right?
He's one of my best friends. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We we still do we still do shows all around Southern Indiana. It's been going for 25 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been a minute. It's been a minute because
it's
when it was AWA Supreme, that was like 07 or something, right?
right. Yes. Because I was smiling when you're talking about Sean Schultz, because Sean was the first Mid America champion in Supreme Wrestling.
Of course he was.
Yeah. So, yep. Yeah. So I've known Sean for a while too. He's a great guy. Yeah.
Yet another title. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, way back in like 09, he was the Mid-American Television Champion for the NWA. He was the longest reigning NWA champion at the time. Nobody knew it because nobody knew anything that was happening. But yes, I think the champ at the time was Blue Demon, who you could never get him
Right.
east.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like it was impossible to make it happen. So, you know.
Yeah, we were part of the NWA when Bruce Tharp owned it, right before William Patrick Corgan bought it. So
yeah, I was around before that, before Tharp.
Okay.
Nothing against him, but that's when I was working events for TNA and then production later. And I just wasn't as active. I would do Crimson's Tried and True Pro shows. Because I was in the backyard, and but for a long time, even especially when we were on the live event crew, Sal was on that crew with me too, in the truck all over the place. You know what I mean? You were just on the road all the time because of the commercial parameters of that truck.
Yeah,
you can only be in it for so long, 11 hours, stuff like that. So you go to Washington State, it's gonna take 3.5 days to get there, essentially, right? And if your logbook's screwed up, you go through a way station, it's over. So we would be all the time. One time we were on the road for, it was like 3 weeks or something crazy. Actually it was like 20 some straight days, whatever it was. And then Sal called me. He was on his way back to Georgia. He said, "Dude, we've been on the road so long, I just pulled into a way station in my car."
Oh my God!
Because we had been on it so long. Because I just instinctively pulled in it, like, oh God, way station, And that you get brothered out in that truck too, man. You know what I mean? So you just be out there forever, and and Sal and I both like sports, so we would chop it up, NFL and all that. We'd rebook the territory 100 times. I don't know what they're doing with him. They should just do this. And then we get to TV and they weren't doing it. I'm like, why aren't they doing it? I don't know, because we booked it in the truck. Maybe we should just record it. So you have to credit us. Do this. But yeah, we spent a lot of time out there. Me, him, and Dewey Barnes. He was out there for a long time. I don't know if you remember him. And old Tigger. And then later Nigel was on the truck with us before they got rid of the live events. But yeah, those were good times too. It's just, I mean, they're funny now, but like back then, but the checks were good. They took care of us. I mean, we had hotels, and we weren't paying for the gas, obviously, but just, that truck will wear you out, man. Road will kick your ass if you're not ready for it.
Yeah,
that's another reason why sometimes, maybe that's because I had that experience and I had worked with Billy before. It was, they're like, oh, hey, yeah, we need the help right now. Yes. So sometimes that, because wrestling, I mean, it feels like it's big, but it's really about this big, at the same time, and everybody crosses paths with everybody. And that's just, you find your way and you pick up new skills along the way or whatever it is. And, just kind of get in where you fit in, and then you go to WrestleCade at the end of the year and sell a bunch of shit. And then you party and you hang out with all your friends you haven't seen in a while because everybody's working somewhere else. And I just got back from there, so it's fresh.
Oh yeah, good fun for sure.
Yeah. I had an NWA table there. I also had a Demon Bunny table, which is a clothing brand that I do with Rosemary and Allie that we started doing when we were all together in Orlando at the time. And so we had a table there, and we had the NWA table, of course, Kerry Morton, Anthony Andrews. It was supposed to be Kerry and Kenzie, but she could only do the show on Saturday. She couldn't do the Sunday. She couldn't do the signing on Saturday. And Anthony Andrews had asked me, he goes, "Do we have a table?" I said, "Sure do. Sign Kerry and go sit next to him." Sweet. I don't have any heat with those boys, right? We haven't crossed paths with them yet, and you'll be got.
Oh, yeah.
And old AJ Kazana. So, Maybe one day, maybe if we had been feuding, I would have been like, I don't got nothing. I got shit. Go over there, Virgil.
Yeah.
But I hooked him up.
So, what type of deals do you have right now? Let's just throw them out
Well, we
there.
just did the 25% off for like a week for Black Friday. Then I turned it back on for Cyber Monday. I almost said Cyber Sunday. That's pay-per-view, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But right now I got all kinds of stuff. I got a few of these left. This purple hoodie. It's nice and soft. I should have grabbed a bunch of stuff. It's all like right around the corner. I got hats like this one Maddie's wearing right here. We got this one. We got a couple new shirts. Got a pink logo. The shirt's pink with the logo. Got the black with the gold logo, black with the silver logo. We've got the NWA with the star. It's kind of a rip of the Pumpkin Zero shirt. We got the heavy hoodie that looks like that. We've got an orange version of the shirt that I made for Halloween. Still got a few left. Got the Fixer shirt, the Ill Begotten shirt, match Jake's shirt. We got posters. We got signed posters, unsigned posters. We got I got a few of these left. I got to bang them out before the year starts because I got to make another one. These programs right here, that's the page everybody wants to see. But
we
got a few programs
sure.
left. Got a couple 74 bundles left, which is like 2 cups, a shirt, poster, bag. Got lapel pin. Oh wait, I got some stuff right here. I got some lapel pins. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. We got all kinds of stuff.
Fantastic.
So you got to go to nationalwrestlingnights.com and click the shop link. There's more stuff there. I probably forgot a bunch of stuff. But,
awesome.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing there right now. And then Alex and Plunkett right now, they're training and they're working out. We got a couple things coming in December. Got some NWA stuff we're doing. Got Christopher Kids up in Portland for Jimmy J. We got a couple different things we're gonna be doing.
Mm-hmm. I saw the Christmas for the Kids flyer the other day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we will be there to kick somebody's ass.
I don't know. Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Just not Santa Claus's.
It doesn't matter.
Well, we beat up Santa Claus. And then one year I dressed up like Santa Claus and I got beat up. You believe that?
Oh man, that's horrible. Why does Santa Claus always get beat up?
I don't know. Well, not always. One year, me and Josephus, he was out there with Storm, James, not Tim, and I really can't remember what happened. But I know I was out there and I got stunned by Santa. So I must have got a concussion because I don't remember.
Nice.
But Santa kicked my ass then. Then the next year I dressed up like Santa and I got beat up. So it's I guess it depends on who Santa is, isn't it?
That's true.
All right.
Where'd it go? What did I do with that thing? Oh, here it is. I actually found this. This is what me and Tony Kazina, we came out and tried to beat up Santa Claus in Clarksville a few years ago.
Bah humbug.
That's right. This is my Christmas hat. So
there you go.
We pushed him around, and then he beat us up, and we're still reviewing the tape. I want to press charges, but I think statute of limitations is passed on that. And Kazina's, he can't get his work visa to get back here. He's like stuck in New Zealand or somewhere.
Brian, you got anything else?
If there was any advice you could give to anybody, what would it be about getting into professional wrestling?
Getting into the business?
Yes.
I would say to learn as many positions as you can. In ring, whether it's talent or a mouthpiece, is temporary. It always is. Whether that's 30 years or it's 5, for whatever reason, age, injury, something. Mm-hmm. But I would learn every skill you can. Even when I broke in, when I was in Knoxville, doing shows there with Sigmund and Shane Williams and old Donovan Daniels and all those people. There were some shows where I would go and I would be like, well, I need a ring announcer. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, I'll do that. Because especially when you're new and people don't really know you, and they're like, well, I don't need it. You can go in the Battle Royal. Well, okay, sweet. But then even past that, to where like 10 years that I worked for Impact, I picked up a lot of skills too, not just working in events, but helping with production and all kinds of different stuff. And you just have to, you learn as many things as you can so you can be of value to somebody somewhere. Because the goal was, because I was older when I started, not just being realistic about talent in the ring, saying, well, I'm in shape now, but, what's going to happen here? And I like this, so why don't I do that? It's the same thing. I said, well, if that never does what I want it to do, I still want to work in the toy department, because that's wrestling. We're working in the toy department, right?
Mhm.
So, because I've had jobs where, you know what I mean? Like when I was like 21, I was evicting houses on the west side of Cleveland. It was awful working for a slumlord, people throwing shit at you. I've had jobs where I had to wear a tie and walk and sell things like business to business. I did that in New York. I did it in Detroit. I did it in Cleveland. I've had, you name the job, I've probably at least flirted with it,
Mhm.
and, you think about that, no matter, like, if you stressed or it sucks, you always have to be like, well, not, like Smothers would always say stuff like, we ain't delivering pizzas, boys, or something like that. At least the beat's doing that, right? We ain't washing dishes, or we ain't, so, we're in, not that there's anything wrong with any of that. I'm blue collar, Cleveland, blue collar. So, I mean, work is work, but, if you want to stay working in the toy department, you just try to pick up as many skills as you can, so you can, always be, viable in a good hand, and don't, see, if I would have got him when I was younger, I would have burned a ton of bridges too. Cause I was, I favor, my father, who's Northern Italian, but, my mother's Sicilian. I'm half Sicilian. 0 to 100. So,
Mhm.
just keep it in, you know what I mean? Cause
Mhm.
anybody could be your boss tomorrow. You know what I mean? So don't get hot too quick. And learn every skill you can, and take some pictures of your friends. You know what I mean? I don't have enough pictures of me, and like a lot of those road stories I was talking about, I don't have pictures of any of that shit. None of it. It's up here, and 2 more concussions, I probably won't remember any of it. So, you know what I mean? Take pictures, and it's easy for me to say enjoy it, but because I didn't. I did, but you know what I'm saying. Like, try to have as much fun in the moment, because it could be over like that. Whether that's injury or something else. You know what I mean? So, there's tons of people that, I wish I would have more memories with that I don't. So,
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I truly enjoyed speaking with you, hearing the stories. I do think the story that you told about Sean Schultz being back at the coffee shop, I think I've heard that story from him before, actually. Um, and it's definitely a good one.
that
Um,
was crazy.
yeah,
That stuff would be crazy. Listen, me and Lonnie G.L.O.W are in the back of the bad guy car, and we would eat the candy and throw out the empty wrappers to the kids, because we were in the heel car. And they get hot, we get them and stuff. And like we almost got in a huge fight at the bar. When they picked the fight with Crimson, not me, not Sean, not
wow,
Plunkett, the big one, right?
wow,
Yeah, it was crazy. You know what I mean? It almost got out of hand, and it didn't. But they're in there yelling, calling us outsiders and stuff, like it's children of the corn. Like it's crazy as hell. That's where I was like, man, we should have brought Cash with us on this one. But no, we shouldn't have, because it would have got more wild. But he's a great dude, but he didn't take any shit. But no, yeah, good times, man. Good times. Good time. I left out about 100 million people's names, but that's okay.
that's okay. Definitely, we'll have to do another interview some other time for
Yeah.
sure. We'd love to have you back on. Always open for doing more than one interview. So, like to talk to you in the future.
Yeah, of course. Don't
Awesome.
forget, you got to go to nationalwrestlingnights.com. You got to click the shop link.
There you go. Yeah.
You got to do that, and then
Order that NWA
get your
merch.
God shirts, because yeah, we're the best.
Fantastic. Well, you have a great evening. Thank you for taking time to speak with us.
All right, Daddy.
Have a great one.
Hey everybody, it's Morty.
It's Brian.
And thank you for watching today's episode of Developmentally Speaking.
If you could, please click that subscribe button.
And don't forget to punch that bell icon so you can get notified whenever we go live or drop a new video every Monday. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next
Developmentally Speaking.